Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here again with another review for you. This time I'm talking episode 10 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. called The Bridge. First of all, apologies for this one going up late again. It was work again, what can I say? But thankfully, a multitude of things are finally finished this week, so I now have a good deal more free time, which I am eternally grateful for. But anyway, let's just kind of dive right into this episode. Now, our main, I can't talk. All right, so we're introduced. Well, we were introduced to him previously, but now the fella in prison is given a name, and that's Edison Poe. Now, he's not. That's not a name I recognize from the comics. So if he has a counterpart there, I have no idea who they are. But anyway, this is basically the big episode with a lot of things coming together. Now, of course, we've been seeing for some time that a lot of what's been going on is in fact tied together, but here's where things really start to click. We see Centipede, Mike Peterson returns, more of Edison Poe, Raina is back. And this, of course, as we find out in the final moments, all seems to somehow be tied to what's going on with Coulson. And of course, there's the whole thing of Mike Peterson being the only person to really properly survive the Centipede program. So lots and lots of stuff coming together. Now, I think maybe they should have probably spaced this out a little bit more, because as a lot of people said, it took probably just a little bit too long, an episode or two too long for things to really start to mesh. And I think that cost the show to some degree. But this is one of the hazards of really writing for things like the season finale and the mid-season finale, is that you just don't put enough stuff for there in between for people to chew on, and then try and really jam it all into one or two episodes like they do here. Now, that's not to say this isn't a bad episode. It's in fact, I think, one of the best of the series so far. But well, in terms of just chaining things together and delivering payoffs, well, let's just say that I hope that the guys that are writing for this show are overtaking notes from Arrow, because wow, is that show doing this sort of thing really well this season. Let me see here. Now, let's talk about the characters really briefly. We've got more of Fitz acting jealous when Simmons. Got more of Fitz acting jealous. This time he's a little bit jealous that Simmons seems to be digging Mike Peterson. It's just sort of like, come on, either these two are just friends, or there's something more between them. And it seems odd that there's this really sudden shift. Or if this is something that's kind of been building for a while, then I really think they should have done a better job of queuing it up, because it just doesn't feel like it's coming out right there. Now, it was definitely cool to see Mike Peterson again. I don't know. I had the feeling that he's a character that they might like. Basically, I'm kind of thinking they might actually just kill off one of the main characters this season and then have Mike Peterson come in as a regular next time around. After all, it's not as if we don't know that Joss Whedon really likes to work with J. August Richards. But actually having somebody with superpowers on the team, well, I've kind of got some mixed feelings about that. But, even Coulson does say this episode, you don't get a third chance. And Peterson, he even later says to Peterson, of course, that he took the only choice that he had. Well, no, Mike Peterson could simply have completely been 100% honest with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and that probably would have worked out better. I mean, granted, Centipede ended up being right ahead of them the whole way, but still, I mean, at least if things went bad, they wouldn't be like, oh, well, your son is safe, which is good, but now we have to throw you in prison for the rest of your life. And this just really, I don't know. Given what Mike Peterson had said earlier about how the last time he saw his son, I was a monster. The fact that he would just, not even seem to apparently even consider being 100% honest with S.H.I.E.L.D., given how, how grateful he was to them for saving him, for sparing his life, for, being willing to give him a chance to go out there and make up for what he had done. I mean, he's obviously even basically taken Captain America as his role model in this. So that, like I said, that he would just kind of make such a bad decision, and honestly just such a thoughtless decision, just doesn't really work for me. Now, some of the things that I definitely did think worked in this episode. One, I definitely like that interaction between Skye and Mike. It really shows that S.H.I.E.L.D. does a good job of showing one of the more positive sides of S.H.I.E.L.D. That they're willing to take people who have made mistakes, who have made bad choices, who have even been on the other side, and give them a chance to make right. With, of course, the ultimate example of this being Black Widow. And, well, of course, as I already said, it was really certainly nice to watch all those threads come together this episode. We even got to see Coulson sort of reminisce about the cellist that I believe it was mentioned in, was it Iron? No, it was Avengers, I think it was. They were talking about the cellist. And that was certainly made for a nice bonding moment between Ward and Agent Coulson. Just sort of giving him an idea, where he talks about, in this life we give up PTA meetings and all this other stuff. It really does remind you of the sacrifices that these agents are making. And honestly, I think that is something that they really do need to expand upon. Like, I mean, just what is the sort of general lifestyle for these agents? I mean, their families don't just disappear. Obviously we've touched on a little bit on Ward's brother and whatnot, but there's definitely more material there to be plumbed. And I really don't have a huge amount to say about the whole thing with where May was all on Ward's case about don't think you have to try and protect me. And Ward's like, look, I took that hit because you're the faster person on the team. That just seemed to strike me as kind of an immature reaction from May. However, I've actually thought that May really did have one of the really great moments in this episode where she goes and basically flat out tells Skye, like, look, Coulson and I are not looking for your real parents. You need to drop this BS because this is not what you're here to do. This is not what we do. And, of course, this is just emotionally devastating to Skye. And you have to wonder, though, if this isn't May's way of basically being cruel to be kind. I mean, it has been noted by Coulson that at once upon a time, May was a lot like Skye is now. And it's not unreasonable to think that perhaps now that she's a little bit more in touch with her old self, that May sees this as well, and she's basically in her own way trying to help Skye. She's out there, doling out the hard lesson that maybe she wishes somebody had done for her back when she was a young and less seasoned agent. Of course, she does it in the absolute worst way possible. One thing that I have to say about May is that she really does not seem to have a very good concept of the importance of morale on a team. She's very cold to the vast majority of the team. Here, like I said, she handles the situation with Skye in the absolute worst way possible. And, even with Ward, she's still kind of screwing that up. But, at least it is entertaining. So, this is basically all we get until the show comes back in about, I believe it's 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks. And, well, I think we're finally going to get some answers about Tahiti, which honestly I think is more than a little overdue. I know I've seen more than a few people complaining. It's like, look, just tell us if he's a robot or not already. And frankly, I have to agree with them. This is not something that really needs to be saved for the season finale. This is something that really does need to be presented to the audience. So I think this is something that really needs to be presented to the audience, so we know whether or not our faith in this show is justified. Because I want to know. Like, I trust the people who are making the show. The show has consistently gotten better since it started. But the big question mark hanging over things is what happened to Coulson. And a lot of what, well, basically a lot of I think my ability to continue to have faith in the show is going to be, can they deliver a satisfactory answer to that? Because if they can't, then I'm going to have to wonder, well, the next time they throw a big mystery our way, are they going to be able to deliver a satisfactory resolution to that? And if the answer to the thing in regards to Coulson is no, well, it's not a good sign. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you this time around. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and of course you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. Until next time, take care and have a good one.